Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time, take a look at the 1987 RUF BTR Type 2. This is an evolution of the RUF BTR Type 1 based on a Porsche 930 Turbo. Now, apparently there was an issue with this car displaying incorrect engine stats, which basically meant it used a copy of the other BTR's engine, so that got fixed in GT2 Plus. I don't know if that means it displayed wrong, like there was just an error with the displacement when you go into the major stats, or if it actually showed that it had more horsepower than it did. I'm not too sure there. What I do know is that in the base GT2, this car isn't really all that great because the RUF BTR Type 1 exists, and the Type 1 in the base game has a ridiculous turbo upgrade that gives it, I think, about 630 horsepower, while as this is sat with just 520, while as in GT2 Plus everything's been rejigged, and this car has a little bit more of a purpose. I say a little bit more because obviously there are other RUF-based cars that you could get, the RUF BR2, the BTR2, that might be a little bit better. I think the RCT as well is rear-wheel drive, could be wrong on that. Anyways, rear-engined, rear-wheel drive, 520 horsepower, 1,103 kilos. I'm not a huge fan of the 930 gen of 911, but I do have to admit this does look quite cool. Anyways, to find out how it gets along, it is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to start the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Suzuki Cultus Pikes Peak version. That car set a time of 26.540. The RUF BTR Type 2 unlikely to beat that. In terms of where this is going to end up, RUF BTR Type 1 29.8, RUF RCT 29.8, RUF BTR 2 29.6. So I'm going to say this is going to end up somewhere in the 29.8. RUFs have been pretty good to drive sort of overall in this series, so I'm sort of hoping this is very similar. It is definitely very understeery, which, to be honest with you, is to be entirely expected because there's obviously very little weight over the front wheels. 29.2 on its first flyer, wow, okay. Never mind, all bets are off comparison-wise. It does struggle on the grass, especially if you like come off the grass and even remotely try and make an adjustment. It seems to throw the rear end wide. I think this is going to have to be a lap that I take far more, sort of less liberties with track limits, because I can just sort of lose the rear end at a moment's notice apparently, which isn't great. Usually these do pretty good on traction, but not so much in this case apparently. Obviously the four-wheel drive ones are where you really want to be in terms of out-and-out traction, but yeah, too much understeer on the way out of there. It is very understeery. God, it's understeery. Yeah, you saw that. The problem is as well, it's a hard, I don't know, it's a weird car this. It doesn't actually drive all that bad. It's not bad, but it's sort of, I don't know, a little bit, you're never quite sure what it's going to do. Very inconsistent driving vehicle is how I'd sort of sum this one up. It is good if you get on top of it. You know, oh, bit on the grass there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't mind. Ooh, okay. I don't mind a car that's trying to kill you constantly, something like a TVR Speed 12 or a Viper. You know, you can prepare for that, you can slot it into a higher gear, you can do something like that. I don't mind, I obviously really like a car that is very compliant and does whatever I need it to do, like an Impreza. I don't like the cars that seem almost a bit random as to what sort of handling trait you're going to get. And this is definitely random. You can see with the lap times being all over the place. It's just, yeah, it's a bizarre car to drive. It is quick, there's no doubt about it. And, you know, that second lap out, where I was really cautious with it, we did manage to pretty much get everything out of it there. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, I will be honest. As far as roofs go, might be my least favourite one that I've driven so far. Obviously, the four-wheel drive ones are vastly recommended. The BTR 4 3.8 is currently the quickest of all the roofs we've had. That got into the under 28s, but yeah, even though this is one of the quicker rear-engine, rear-drive ones, I am hesitant to recommend it, to be perfectly honest. Anyways, a 29.280 will place this into 96. Goes in between the Nissan Skyline GTR V-Spec R32 and the Mitsubishi Galant VR4. It is quicker, speaking of cars that want to kill you, than a TVR Tuscan, quicker than a Mazda RX-7 Type RB, quicker than a bunch of Evos and Legacies and Imprezas, quicker than the Vector M12 and the Venturi Atlantique. In terms of roofs, rear-wheel drive roofs, the only thing quicker than this is the BR2, which is newer. And dare I say the BR2 is probably the one I would choose. No, I'm lying. I'd choose the BTR2 because it's got a silly mustache. But if it wasn't looking for silly mustaches, I would choose the BR2. I think that's probably the best of the bunch when it comes to these rear-engine, rear-drive ones. Use with your own caution is basically how I'd describe this one. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.